From a young age, Joseph dreamed extraordinary dreams. His father loved Joseph deeply and showed him special affection. He listened closely to Joseph's stories and saw something special in the boy's eyes. Joseph did not hide his dreams. In his dream, his brothers and parents bowed down before him. The boy did not see it as just a dream, but as a promise of a future yet to come. He believed his life carried a clear and meaningful purpose. Under the harsh sun, the brothers worked and watched, knowing their father's favor was with Joseph at home. As Joseph repeated the story of his dream, fatigue, resentment, and jealousy quietly built up in his brothers' hearts. What had seemed like a blessing became a seed that slowly grew into conflict within the family. In time, the brothers grew extremely jealous, and that jealousy led them to a choice they could never undo. In a single day, Joseph was taken from his home by his jealous brothers and sold into a foreign land, far from home. He lost his home and his family, and any chance to explain who he was. The life of a boy with extraordinary dreams began to turn in a completely different direction. In a place where the language, culture, and everything around him were unfamiliar, he had to begin again from nothing. Though he was a slave, Joseph worked with unwavering faithfulness. He gave his best to every task entrusted to him, never treating even the smallest duty lightly. Before long, his attitude caught the attention of his master. Trust grew quickly, until everything in the household was placed in Joseph's care. Joseph said to himself,
"This time, I can begin again. Maybe now, things will finally get better."
But life did not let him go so easily. The master's wife, who desired him, tried to seize Joseph. But he refused her to the very end. He ran away, but the truth was not on his side. A piece of clothing left behind became the evidence, and a false accusation was quickly accepted as fact. No chance was given to him to explain himself, no right to defend himself, and no one willing to listen. He was taken away once again, this time not to the servants' quarters but to a prison. It was a place darker and deeper than slavery had ever been, filled with chains, walls, and endless time. Even in prison, Joseph did not break. Among the prisoners, he earned their trust. And once again, the guard placed responsibility in his hands. Wherever he went, he remained faithful and hardworking, and others recognized his faithfulness. But hope did not last long. Those whose dreams he had interpreted forgot him. Some of them were high-ranking officials, yet they too soon forgot Joseph. Their promises went unkept, and the waiting became endless. Hardship and disappointment continued to pile up. Each time he hoped for a turning point, life bent once more. Joseph began to ask himself,
"Why does this keep happening? What have I done wrong? Where does this end?"
He did not know it yet, that all this time was not meant to break him, but to shape him, to prepare him with wisdom for the role he would one day be called to fill. The prison was dark, narrow, and filled with silence. Light filtered through the iron bars for only a brief moment each day. And time moved slowly yet with heavy weight. No one listened to his story. And no one asked how he had come to be there. No one cared about his innocence or the truth. Yet Joseph never lived as if he had given up, not even for a single day. Even in prison, he saw people. He noticed faces unable to sleep under the weight of worry. He did not pass by hearts that were quietly falling apart.
"Why do you look so troubled today?"
That single question opened a new path in the prison. Joseph interpreted their dreams. He did not speak of his own situation, nor did he put forward his injustice. He confessed that the interpretation did not come from himself, and he did not let go of his trust in God. The dreams came true exactly as foretold. Some were released, and some were put to death. Joseph's interpretations were never wrong. Yet, outside the prison walls, Joseph was forgotten. The promises made were not kept. And the waiting did not end. Scripture says it in a single line. He was not remembered. 2 more years passed. In a place where no one was watching. In a time that felt as though nothing was happening. Joseph continued to live one day at a time. He did not stop being faithful. He remained kind with others. And he did not lose himself. Where no results or rewards could be seen, he remained faithful to each day. In a place only God could see, he lived each day with faithfulness. Joseph did not know it yet. This time of silence was not meant to confine him, but to prepare him to stand one day before a king. One day, the king of Egypt had a dream he could not understand. The dream was vivid, but its meaning remained unclear. He was left with a feeling of unease he could not shake. All the wise men and magicians of the kingdom were summoned, but no one could offer an answer. There were many words, but no interpretation. And the king's unease only deepened. Only then did the officials remember someone, a name long forgotten in the prison. Joseph. Joseph was summoned at once. He was brought out of the prison, stripped of his prisoner's clothes, and led to stand before the king. When the king spoke of his dream, Joseph did not hesitate, yet he did not put himself forward. He spoke plainly.
The interpretation is not mine, it belongs to God.
His words were more than an explanation of a dream. They revealed the years of abundance and the years of famine to come. The time to store and the time to give. Wisdom that would preserve an entire nation. The king saw it clearly. This was not merely a man who could interpret dreams, but someone who could be entrusted with responsibility. Joseph was taken from the prison and brought into the royal court. Overnight, his position changed. But his attitude did not. He remained thoughtful, and he continued to see people before positions. He was appointed as Egypt's highest administrator. Joseph's life took on an entirely different meaning. The day he was sold, the temptation he refused, the betrayal and the disappointment. All of it had been preparing him to bear this responsibility. And at last, he understood. The days built in a place no one saw. All of that time had been leading him to a position that would safeguard the fate of a nation. Years later, Joseph stood before his brothers. But Joseph said to them,
"You intended to harm me, but God turned it into good."
Joseph did not deny his suffering. He arrived here only after passing through a long and difficult journey that once seemed endless. History does not record the stories of perfect journeys. Instead, it remembers those who endured and passed through trials. If you feel like you are stumbling in the same place again and again, that place is not the end, but a place of refinement for a future that will shine. This is the moment when change begins.